Hello, hello, beautiful souls. My name
Hello.
and yes, and hello,
Oh,
Jessica. I'm here with my beautiful friend Jessica. My name is Jeri Tourand, and my business is Living from Heart Center. And I'm so excited that I finally get to interview one of my clients for a lot of years, one of my beautiful friends, one of the most empowered souls and courageous souls that I know. And I really want you to get a taste of what Jess is all about because she's absolutely fantastic. She's overcome incredible adversity in her life and she's ready to give back. So, so Jess, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to let me interview you and introduce you to my peeps.
yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So I want to just tell you a little bit about Jess and what I know about her. Um, she's a light. She's a vibrant light. She's filled with passion. She has a huge heart. And like I said, she's been through hell and back. And honestly, she's actually got the steps to help you do the same. So she's one of the most courageous, vulnerable souls that I know. And I appreciate her so much because when she's been in my groups, she kind of leads the way. She takes on this leading role and shares her heart so openly that people are completely drawn to her. They feel safe. And she invites them into that space of deep healing. So, Jess, I want you to tell a little bit about you and your story. Like how'd you get to be so courageous, so vulnerable? And what is that got you really interested in this path of personal development and really speaking your truth and being empowered?
Ah, what an introduction. Thank you. Yeah, life has been a roller coaster for my relatively young age. And you're right, I am very passionate about speaking your truth, knowing your truth, the power of vulnerability. Um, it's always scary, but it's one of my favorite things to do. Just because I have so much proof in my own life of all of the gifts that I've gotten out of taking that risk and being vulnerable with people. It wasn't easy getting to that point. A little bit about my story. I grew up in a family that didn't communicate, didn't know how. My parents couldn't teach me because they never learned how, except in incredibly unhealthy ways. I believed for a long time that, well, I didn't know that communicating my needs and boundaries was even allowed, let alone my right and responsibility.
Yeah.
And through growing up, I saw my family not talk about anything important ever. And it made me crazy. And I didn't know anything about them. I knew they were all suffering, but nobody could talk about it. And so I had to teach myself how to break through that, how to change that for myself, at least. That happened slowly, but there definitely was one huge catalyst for all of that. When I was 10 years old, I was sexually abused by my grandfather, which, was traumatic in every way, especially because he was the my only example of a good man. And then that was taken away with my power. And I didn't know that it was okay to tell anyone or talk about it, or um, I don't know. I kept that through my teenage years, and of course, I mean, being a teenager is hard enough, anyways. Um, but I guess the first step in sort of the chronological order of how things went down. When I was 16, I told my mom what had happened. Um, and she kind of shared that news with our family, which didn't really go so well. Um, I was not very supported. I wasn't very nurtured. They still wouldn't talk about it. So that was a bit of a roadblock for me. But I don't know when this feeling came about, but I knew that I would never be okay if I didn't speak my truth specifically to the person that hurt me, because him and I went from being best friends when I was a kid to never speaking another word to each other until I was 25.
Holy smokes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so hard. And I can I can just really feel that. And that when you finally did get the courage to share and realize that this would be a good thing to share what happened with your mom, with someone you trusted, and you didn't get that support, like what a huge hit.
Yeah.
So it just makes me wonder, wow, like how have you managed to be so courageous? And like you jump in more than anyone I know in that willingness to have difficult discussions with people
Mhm.
and to be vulnerable and to forgive. Like you're just so incredibly forgiving. So yeah, what catalyzed that
I
decision?
mean, yeah, that whole experience, I felt supported in a loving way uh, by my mom through that experience, but she still didn't know how to talk about it.
Right.
Nobody knew how to have the conversation, and that was like the I recognized that, and
Oh, so
so
powerful.
I spent another 9 years slowly processing and thinking about things, and um, deciding. I mean, I knew that I had to have the conversation, and then I figured out. I knew the why I had to have the conversation, and then I figured out um, what was actually imperative for me to say. The whole
Right.
point was for me to speak my truth, because I never had. And I mean, in a situation like that, there's a million things you want to say. And over the years, they changed as I got older and more mature, and found my way somehow to forgiveness, which
Yeah.
was a huge step. Um, and then I was able to actually do the hardest thing I'd done in my life up until that point, and showed up on his doorstep and had the conversation with him. Um, and it was actually, there's one more thing I should say about that, in the like very, very important thing that I discovered in that process was it couldn't his reaction couldn't have any involvement. It didn't matter how he was going to react.
So you had no attachment to how he reacted.
Right, because
Yeah.
it was a huge risk.
Yes.
You know, he could deny it right to my face, and how traumatizing would that be all over again? Um, and so I had prepared myself for all of these scenarios to play out, and none of them mattered. All that mattered was confronting, speaking my truth, taking my power back. And that actually opened the floodgates to the rest of my like whole journey up until now, because it turned out to be one of the most beautiful experiences of my entire life. And I got so many gifts from that. Um,
Yeah.
Lots that I felt in the moment, and so many more over the years, looking back and seeing what a miraculous, um, really human, heart filling, life-changing experience that was. So that's why I now can't shut up about speaking your truth, and um, always being on my own journey of trying to get more and more to authenticity and staying in my power, and um, helping other people like through that process.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You hit on so many important points. Like, I think we could probably do a few different,
Yeah. It's hard to know where to
right.
stop.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're really paying a price for hanging on to that, and that there was some resentment you were carrying, which of course makes it really hard for us to move forward with confidence.
Absolutely.
We're doubting ourselves all the time. We don't really trust ourselves. We don't really trust other people. I'm sure that your trust of others definitely was affected by an incident like that. And so
Yeah.
you realize, it sounds to me like you realize you were just paying too many prices for hanging on to this, and made the decision that no matter what the result was, you're going to do this. You need to get this out. You need to honor yourself, speak your truth, ask for what you need without an attachment to it having to look a certain way. And I love when you said that you actually weighed out, you thought about all the different results, all the different things that could happen. So you pre-prepared for worst case scenario, right? That,
Hmm.
yeah, you know what? It might not be received, but the
Right.
important thing is that I'm honoring myself, that I'm taking my power back by expressing how that made me feel, how that's affected me. And then his part is up to him. Like, that's I owe it to myself. So I love that you pointed that out.
Yeah.
And
You hit
yeah,
the nail on the
how
head.
empowering that was for you.
Yeah, I didn't really focus too much on that, but that actually was the biggest part. And I mean, there have been a handful more experiences and conversations that I've had over the years since then, with relatively the same kind of process that played out. And it always started with, and the core of it was, this shit isn't mine.
Mm,
And it's so heavy. And it, like, I remember asking, like, wondering how much more space there would be in my heart if I gave that shit back.
what a good question. How much more space
Right?
would there be in my heart if I actually unpacked all the shit I've been carrying that isn't mine? And not only
Yeah.
how much lighter would I feel? How much more would my energy flow? I mean, it
Yeah.
affects every single part of you. How much better, how much closer could I actually let people in? How much closer would my relationships be? So, Yeah, tell me a little bit about the benefits that you received and the results, and why is this so important? Because I can tell you right now, it's needed. People do not
Yeah,
know how to have those difficult conversations. They're so afraid, it just cripples them, and afraid that they're not going to be received. So
yeah.
why do they need to do this? What are the benefits?
I mean, I get that crippling. um, the well, first of all, I did have that immediate um, physical sensation. I remember clear as day when I left after that conversation. I was driving home, and I was like, felt so much lighter
Mm,
and so much more free and available.
whoa.
And the over the next few months after that, I remember that experience was the kickoff to the first time I ever experienced universal flow,
Ooh,
if
yes.
you will. Like I noticed every single little thing that suddenly started to magically fall into place in the next few months after that experience, and to the point where it was obnoxious. And I was super aware of it and super, super, super grateful and just in awe of, like, it made me believe so much in, like, the power that I had just by facing the hard things in my life and speaking my truth and letting go of what's not mine, and um, allowing that space for the life that I was actually meant to be living to come in for
Oh
me.
my gosh. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it made you more available,
It did.
provided the space for you to actually do what you were meant to do. There's all this
Yeah.
interference before. And now,
Mhm.
and that flow, and I keep like, I hear that a lot. People that finally are saying, okay, I've been brushing this under the carpet my whole life. I've been afraid to look at this. It's this big, scary monster. I'm afraid it'll just take over. And, but then when they make that conscious decision, when it's conscious, it's not going to take over. It's like, okay, welcome. I'm going to welcome it back in. I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to take that band-aid off. I'm going to clean out that wound so that it can
Mhm.
heal once and for all. So, yeah, like I can feel the power in that, and just how much, yeah, you enter
Yeah.
this miracle zone, right? Where finally the universe has some access to you.
Yeah. And I've experienced that same exact thing time and time again. Every time I do the hard thing and am true to myself
Mm,
and basically, like, make that declaration, I suppose. Um, I used to think of it in terms of, like, I was being rewarded for, I felt like I was leveling up my my soul or
yeah.
something. And one really important point that I want to make on that is that since then I have um, had those experiences where I um, had the difficult conversation and it has not gone well.
Okay.
However, all of the same benefits still came through
Mm,
afterwards.
thank you.
So that, I think, is just a really, because I mean, it's such a huge risk either way. Like, even though it's not the point of how it's going to be received, sometimes it's not going to be received well. And, there might be some stuff that comes along with that, but the long-term core life-changing benefits that I've every single time gotten out of doing those things, that's never ever changed.
Right. Wow.
So
For sure. Yeah.
I feel like
And
that's
yeah, for sure. Like I've had clients that, I mean, it's impossible. Like maybe the person has passed on,
Mhm,
and it might be impossible to actually have that conversation person to person with somebody. But
mhm.
there is a way to do it just like energetically and calling them in and going back to that time and so that you're still honoring yourself, you're still expressing yourself, you're still visualizing yourself expressing yourself to that person or writing it
Absolutely.
down. So there's lots of different ways to do that if you can't actually see them in person. Like, I mean, you picked the most courageous way you possibly could by actually knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, can we talk?" But and I want to let people know that Jess did a lot of personal development work, a lot of soul searching to ensure that she was coming from the right place. So when she says it might not be received well, you can almost guarantee it won't be received well if you don't kind of do some forgiveness work first.
Absolutely.
Just show up at their door, yeah, Jeri and Jess, they said we need to go in and we need to speak our truth. You know, your truth is not your opinion. Truth
Good
is love.
point.
Truth comes from a place of love. And so that's kind of the key. Like when people just say, yeah, I gave it to them, I spoke my truth. Your truth is actually your authentic self is love. It's
Yes.
not anger and fear and hatred. That might be how you're feeling in the moment, your human self, but it's not who you are. And the key here is to come from the place, the authentic place of who you are. That desire for healing, that desire for forgiveness, that desire to free yourself and them to move forward and not carry
Yeah.
shit that isn't yours anymore. So that's why, I mean, I really wanted to emphasize that Jess put in, she's done a heck of a lot of personal development work, soul searching, um, and connecting
That,
with love and with her heart. So
that's
there.
a very, very good point. I think that, I mean, there's there's many less intense um, examples of difficult conversations to have in your life, um, with not quite as much weight on them.
Mhm.
But for the ones that do hold that kind of weight for you, you're right. I would never, and I have never um, gone into those conversations without removing myself, removing my emotions and my
Right.
um, all my stuff from the situation, and
Mm.
being able to step back and see, if it's someone that I was confronting because they had hurt me in my life, um, not actually looking at how they had hurt me so much, but being able to step back and just look at them as another human being
Mm. Right.
who at one point was good and innocent. And everyone, I mean, I believe that humans are basically good, and you know we often don't act very good to other people because of hurt that we've endured.
Yeah.
But I made sure that I understood that very, very well before putting myself through that.
Right. Yeah, it's been such an honor and a privilege to just witness your growth and be a part of it. And I remember sitting down across from you and kind of trying on those conversations and doing some forgiveness and clearing work first, right? To just clear the
Mhm.
way where it's like, hey, yeah, like I can see more clearly now.
Yeah,
And yeah, really just connecting with your truth and what's really true and what's in your heart and your big why. Like, is this in your highest to even have this conversation? And if so, what would that look like? Right? Would the highest, most energized, most loving way to do that be? And
absolutely.
yeah, you're just so good with that. So what's your vision or your mission for yourself moving forward, and what do you kind of see as possible in the world?
Oh, I feel like those are maybe two different questions.
Your vision for
Um,
yourself. Yeah.
so, I mean, the thing is, I've been having these conversations with people. My favorite thing in the whole world is to have those scary, vulnerable,
Mm.
messy, juicy conversations with people about all of the worst shit that's ever happened to them in their lives. And I mean, for one reason, just because I'm absolutely fascinated by the human experience and like what we're able to do to each other and endure.
Yeah.
And I think just having that conversation with people fascinates me. And then there's the part of it that a lot of the stuff that I've been through in my life, um, a lot of different kinds of trauma, I guess, and experiences that I am so grateful to have um, turned into something good for
Ah,
myself and really be able to help other people through that. That's my jam. That's my mission.
yes, it's so true. Like, I know I found my purpose in my pain as well. And,
Yeah,
I really think we go through what we go through so we can help other people go through what we've been through. And you've
yeah,
just done that, like, on such a high level. And I can just see like how many people that you can help, and with your ability to hold space and no judgment. Like, people can sit with you and literally you can like share anything with Jess, and she can hold space, and she can just, I mean, she loves that, to just hold space, right? Like, you're so good at that.
I do.
You're so good at that. And when you've been through and overcome so much in your life, you really do have the capacity to hold space without that judgment. And so
Yeah.
people know that, this softness and this love that you emanate is beautiful. So you can talk
Well,
about the most heinous things, and Jess is like, she gets it. Like what? In her young, I don't know, I consider you very young, and man, the stuff that you've overcome at such a young age, and all of the challenges that you've been through blow me away. And you're obviously a change maker. You're changing it for your whole family. I love that that was the catalyst for you, right? Is recognizing,
yeah.
you know what? They don't know how to do this. So almost in that moment where you weren't fully received and fully supported because you realized that your family can't. They weren't trained. They don't know how. So you're like, hey, I'll make it my mission. That's my job. I need to be the one that role models. How do you do this? How do you hold space for others? How do you receive those vulnerable shares and help them transform them into a gift?
Mhm.
Whoa, I'm just like getting chills. Such good.
Yeah. And I want more of that now. I've been having these conversations with anyone even relatively close to me,
Mm,
um, for so long now, just because I know that it could help them spark something. And the question you asked about, like, what do I envision for
The
what's
world.
possible in the world. I mean, I have ideas. And they almost all come back to it's it's actually, I don't know if ironic is quite the right word, but I find it funny that in today's world, with social media being almost as much of life as real life is for people, and so many conversations only happen online and on social media, um, how much nobody is saying, how much like everybody talks so much about stuff that doesn't actually matter. And I want to talk about the stuff that matters so much that we're too scared to talk about it. That's what I want.
That is how we heal, people.
Yeah.
We need to connect with our hearts. We need to feel and be willing to feel to heal. And just, yeah, that vulnerability. We need to get vulnerable. We need to speak up. We, and share. So yeah, it's tough because we don't have freedom of speech.
That might be a bit of a
There's
steep
certain
one,
rules
but
and
we'll see.
regulations, and but you can find, that's why it's so important to find your tribe and people that you can be safe with, that you can share fully with, that you can talk about what matters with. So at least you're getting it out into the field of consciousness so that it
Mhm.
can be received, so that it is available, so that other people can take it and use it for their own healing, right? Building that bridge between where we are and what's possible in the world. So yeah, we're bridge builders here.
Yeah.
We're helping to bring heaven to earth through vulnerable conversations. And yeah, I just so appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and how much you're willing to just step into this whole thing and play with me. So woohoo. Game
I mean,
on.
thank you. You've been a huge part in helping me get to this point. So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's been such an honor. So yeah, I feel like maybe you can, any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share, kind of a first step for any of the listeners.
Um, which is the first one? I mean, I don't know. That's everyone's journey is different. But the most important question I ever asked and answered for my own self was, what do I need to do or say to ensure that I'm going to be okay and that I can be the best version of myself moving forward? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, that's
awesome.
huge.
Yeah. So, what do you need to say or do so that you can really step into the best version of yourself? Or where do
Yeah,
like what's in the way of that might be a question too. What's in the way of me being the best version of myself? And then look at, okay, so what is it that I need to say or do then?
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, there's often a lot of working backwards, figuring out what it even is
Right.
first. And I just being brave and curious and caring enough about yourself and your life and your relationships to,
Right.
you know, do those hard things, I think is so huge. And I applaud anyone and everyone that, is on that journey. And I want
Mm,
to talk to all of you.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. What we, to start with, just, we're worth it. We have to treat ourselves like we're worthy of
Yeah.
healing ourselves, of loving ourselves, and get that. what you do for yourself, you do for your family, your lineage, for everyone, and you make it available for others by doing it for yourself. So yeah, you've made it so available to your family, to your tribe, and now we're putting it out even more. So yeah,
Yeah.
so how can people get in touch with you if they do want to have some of those conversations and just open that up?
Yeah, as of right now, still just Facebook Messenger is how I stay connected to everyone. So that's an easy way to connect and go from there. And there will be much more to come soon, but I'll
Yeah.
save that.
Just look at the Schroffel on Facebook, and I'll be sure to put a link to you in the well, either in the title of this or and also in the comments so that people can find you easily.
Okay,
Send you a message if they want to just have that vulnerable conversation, have a safe space to express and just play with what's possible to
absolutely.
help them move forward. And Jess has almost all of her trilotherapy training too. So
Yes, I'm so
yeah,
excited to step into all of that. There's so much that I'm ready to share with people that are on that journey, and
mhm, yeah,
lots of work that you and I are going to do together. I'm very excited about.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, trilotherapy was developed by Zen master Nisam Aman. And it's really about balancing your head and your heart, awakening to the truth of who you really are, and ending the internal battle, the internal conflict that just saps our energy. And it comes from our trauma. And so it's very related to what we've been talking about. And there's so many powerful transformational exercises, tools, and lessons to move you forward. It's a blend of Western psychology and Zen Buddhist philosophy. So the West and the East brought together, the best of both worlds. I love
um,
that about it so much. Yeah. So yeah, I just want everyone to know that Jess and I are going to be doing a masterclass together in the coming weeks. So watch for that. And if you're listening from the Unlimited Love Coaching group, then that's probably where the masterclass will be live streamed. If you're not a member, then I'll put the link below for you to join Unlimited Love Coaching for Awakening Souls, so that you do not miss the masterclass about having difficult conversations and really taking your power back.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Got to take your power back because we need you. The world needs you, and you need to be available. Jess said it so well. You need to make yourself available for why you're actually really here. And you'll just be, you want to die knowing that you lived well, that you did the thing that you came here to
yeah.
do. So we can help with that. Totally. Thanks, Jess. I so appreciate you. And I'll look forward to connecting with you and with everyone on this call. So please reach
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you so, so, so much.
Thanks.